if there are any impairments, anything along those lines, then we're going to obviously have to adhere to the carrier's guidelines. So how do we kind of figure that out, right? Because underwriting is an absolute art. Well, each one of our products has a policy detail drop down and an underwriting guide. So literally you can go in here, press this guide. This pulls up, I'll share this tab, and then you've got a guide to Banner Life's underwriting. So it's going to tell you all kinds of stuff like, hey, what would they, what's going to be needed, you know, for special face amounts, things of that such, right? Is there going to be an EKG needed? Most times not. That's usually for, you know, older ages, so on and so forth. There's a slew of information in here. So if you really want to dig into finding out where a client could potentially get approved at, then, you know, you can definitely look into, and you know, all the carriers are kind of in line. So this will give you a, you know, a baseline of where your client could potentially get approved. Let's go back, share this tab. So the next thing that I wanted to kind of review is like doing your field underwriting is where we're talking about, right, going into and looking at carrier guidelines so that we can figure out, hey, is this client going to be preferred? Are they going to be super preferred? Are they going to be standard? So on and so forth. Sometimes a client is going to be very open with you and they're going to tell you, hey, I really want to get some life insurance, but I don't know if I would get approved. So if a client is upfront or you do ask those, you know, kind of opening questions like, are you on any medications? Have you been hospitalized? So on and so forth. This is where you're going to get opportunities to do better field underwriting. If a client does tell you that they have a specific impairment, the easiest way to find out if they're going to get approved is by using our system. We've got a great tool for being able to send out quick quotes to our carriers, getting results back, and then being able to move forward. And I'll show you how that works. In our system, under quoting, you have this impaired risk tab. Here is where you can take the information that you've gotten from your client, right? Identify what the impairment is, whether it's one listed or it's an other medical, right? It's not listed, it's something other, or if it's non-medical, like a DUI or, you know, something along those lines, a felony or something. You can plug in the rest of their information and then a long list of carrier options will come up. I typically will send them to all that information that you have plugged in will go to the carrier. The carrier will review, and typically within 2 days, they're going to start responding back to you with, you know, with information like, and I'll show you what that looks like. If we go to quoting and we go to impaired risk quotes, right? If I open up this one here, this is obviously a fake one here, but the impairment was diabetes. Client was type 2 diabetic, A1C was 5.8. They're taking, you know, insulin and oral medications. So the offers that come back, right? There are 15 pending offers. Oh, no offers came back, unfortunately. But typically the carriers would come back and state, hey, we would start our risk at table 2, or we would start our risk at standard, whatever it may be. From there, you're basically going to get that information, go back into your system, right? And then instead of running this at preferred, you run it at the best, you know, results that you got back. So if, let's say, Transamerica said, oh yeah, we'll do this at super preferred, fantastic. You hit super preferred, rerun your quote, and we want to see, we're going to go to Transamerica. So we know that this is where we're going to go. We're not going to try and, you know, go to one of these carriers that didn't respond back with the best rating. So it's a great tool to be able to weed out, you know, the best, you know, underwriting solutions from, you know, some that are not as good. In our system, you will have, in our help center, you'll have an option to see this again, how to create an impaired risk quote. So I will get you information. Obviously, this is, we're kind of going through this pretty quickly. If for some reason you forget this information, don't think that you're going to be lost. We will definitely be able to assist you. You can reach out to me, so on and so forth. Now the most important thing is, well, how do I know what questions the carrier is going to ask for, right? In our forms and applications tab, this is where our impaired risk questionnaires live. So here is where you can actually get an actual questionnaire in regards to what the carrier is looking for. So let's say for diabetes, for instance, let's take a look at the questionnaire here, right? What are they asking for? Very basic information up here, but then they're asking for specifics when we start getting to the numbered questions. When was it diagnosed? Very important when we're talking about diabetes, because if it was early, right, it could be type 1 diabetes, which is a higher risk. If it was later in life, it could be type 2, right? So type 2 is more common and the risk isn't as high. The biggest one is, what is the A1C? That's going to tell us if the diabetes is controlled or if it is, out of control. So we really want to dial into, figuring out what the main trigger is of the decision that the carrier is going to make, and make sure that we answer that. Unfortunately, people come in and they just basically say things like, I've got a client and they've got diabetes, and they don't share any other information. And so the carrier is going to kind of respond back with either, hey, this isn't enough information, or they might say something like, hey, if the A1C is under 6, then you could potentially get this. Give them as much information as possible so that they can